welcome to podcast number 5, I think. I have a long drive today. I'm driving for a while, like 5 hours. So I figured I'd occupy some of my time by doing more podcast. I doubt podcast is going to take 5 hours, but I guess with me, you never know. But anyway, this is a funny story that I think is funny. So actually, there's a girl in my ward, and this story came up like a week or so ago, but it was right when she was about to leave and go home, and so she made me promise to tell the story later, and I was like, okay, I can do that. But then every time we've seen each other since then, we've never had enough time to tell the story. So I still have yet to tell her this story. But that's okay. It'll be fine. I'll send her the podcast and she can listen to it then, I guess. But also, side tangent before we get on to the main story, because I kind of thought that this was just weird that happened this week, but also interesting, but mostly weird. Well, I don't know about weird, but definitely odd. Anyway, me and my roommate, we went to this ward activity that one of the members of our bishopric hosted, like a drive-in movie, and we watched what's it called? Escape from Germany. We watched Escape from Germany, which is a fantastic movie. So anyway, we did that as a ward activity, so we drove down there. The movie was good. And then we were planning on going to Winco after to get some snacks, because we both went to Yellowstone the next day on Saturday. And the same girl, she didn't have a ride home, which, now that I think of it, would have been a fantastic time to tell her this story. Oh well. Anyway, so we offered her a ride home, and we were like, are you okay if we stop at Winco? And she said, are you okay if we stop at my brother's house and get some duck eggs? And we were like, duck eggs? I mean, sure. And she was like, yeah, my brother knows this guy who has ducks, and so now he has duck eggs, and so now I have duck eggs. Do you want duck eggs? And my roommate and I were like, of course, sure, yeah, we'll take some duck eggs. So now I have some duck eggs. I haven't eaten them yet because I'm on my way to my sister's, and I think it'll be fun to try the duck eggs with her. So they're sitting in the seat beside me in my car, and so I've got duck eggs on my seat as I'm driving to Utah. Anyway, so I have duck eggs, and that just kind of happened randomly and by chance. But I guess now I'm gonna figure out what duck eggs taste like, so that's kind of snazzy. But that's not the story we're talking about. This is a little bit of a weird story. Now, I can't remember if this takes place while I was moving to North Carolina, or if this takes place right before FSY. So either in like October-ish of 23, when I came to Utah to get all my stuff so I could drive to North Carolina, or summer of last year when I came for FSY. Either way, I was flying from North Carolina to Utah, and I was going to be staying at my sister's. So I get on the plane, and I think we flew from North Carolina to Atlanta, Georgia, and that's where my layover was in Atlanta. And then I get on the plane, and I was lucky enough to have a window seat, so I sat in the window seat, and then this lady sat down in the seat right next to me. I don't know how old she was. I'm bad at age guessing, so I'm not going to try. But it's important to the story that she is significantly older than I am, and I have no idea who she is. Anyway, and the plane ride itself was fine. You know, I listened to an audiobook, I took a nap, I looked out the window, all that jazz. Plane ride, good. But then, as we started our descent, this lady was like, this is a perfect time to talk to my neighbor. Which, I mean, I guess, sure. Like, because if we had started talking at the beginning of the plane ride, then you've got like a whole plane ride, and do you keep talking, or do you like ignore each other after the conversation? I don't know. So I guess this was, if you're gonna talk to somebody right at the end of the plane ride, it's not a bad idea. But anyway, we started our descent, and she started talking to me, you know, like, oh, where are you coming from? Where are you going? And I was like, oh, you know, I'm coming from North Carolina. I'm going to go visit my sister, and blah, 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 blah. And she was like, oh, where does your sister live? And I was like, oh, you know, kind of in like the Orem, Provo area. She's somewhere around there. And because I wasn't about to just give this lady my sister's address. Anyway, I was like, oh, you know, like Orem, Provo, that kind of area. And she was like, that's where I'm going. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And she's like, do you want to ride? You should come with me. And I was like, no, thank you. I think I'm okay. I'm just gonna take the train. And she was like, okay, but she kept talking and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, she asked me what I'm doing that night, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go visit some friends. You know, I haven't seen them in a while, so we've got a thing planned tonight. I'm going to go with them. And she was like, well, I am going to, and I don't remember. Oh, because she didn't know what it was called. I was about to say I don't remember what it was called, but she said she didn't remember what it was called. And she was like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like, basically there's this artist, and he has all these paintings, and they're displaying them all tonight. And I was like, oh, like an art gallery? And she was like, it is not an art gallery. And I was like, I'm sorry, like an art show? And she's like, no, I don't think it's an art show. And I don't know, the way she described it, it sounded either like a gallery or a show, one of those two things, but she was adamant that it was not, so I just let it go. But anyways, so she's telling me about this, and she's like, it's in Orem tonight, you should come. I was like, oh no, I've got plans, I think I'm okay. And she's like, no, you should come, it'll be fun, like I'll be there, you can come meet up with me and we can go together. And I was like, I'm okay, thank you. I've got plans with my friends. I haven't seen them in like forever, and you know, we've got plans, so I think I'm gonna go be with them. And she was like, okay, well, if you change your mind, I'll be there. I was like, okay. Anyway, she kept telling me about these paintings, and she was like, they're all by this guy, and I can't remember, I think his name was like Kershiznik or something. It was an odd name. I think it was Kershiznik. And anyway, so she's telling me about this painter and like about all these paintings, and she's like, and he does like series of paintings, and my favorite series is about this man and his wife, and in all the paintings the husband is doing something just utterly stupid, and in every painting the wife just looks mad at him. And like this painting, and she's like showing me paintings, she's like, in this painting he's doing like a cartwheel, and his wife is upset at him because he's being stupid. And in this painting he's doing like this, blah blah blah, and his wife is looking at him and angry because he's doing stupid things. And then in this painting, blah 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 blah, and his wife is just looking at him and she's upset because he's doing something stupid. And she shows me like 3 or 4 of these paintings, and then she like pauses and she looks at one, like she's silent for a few seconds, and she's like, yeah, these paintings remind me of me and my husband. And then she just moved on from that, and I was like, oh, okay, like thanks for that piece of lore, and just move on from that, cool. Anyway, so she talks to me about all these paintings, but then she's like, but my favorite painting it's the best painting, I love this painting. And she pulls out her phone and she starts like scrolling and like searching things up, and then she puts her phone to her chest so I can't see it, and she's like, this is my favorite painting ever, this is the best painting in the world. And then she turns the phone to me and it's this silly little painting, which I wish I could show to you guys. But that doesn't really work in podcast form. So you should just go look it up. It's called Jesus and the Angry Babies. And it is literally exactly what it sounds like. It's just Jesus, and he's holding like 4 or 5 babies, and they all just look upset. And and I don't know why this painting exists. Like, I like, this guy just sat down and he's like, you know what I'm gonna paint today? I'm gonna paint Jesus, which is a good start. Like, that's wonderful. But then he's like, no, this needs something more. I know, babies. Better yet, angry babies. Because I don't know, I guess he just wanted angry babies to be sitting there. But it was such an odd choice to me, and an even odder choice for that to be like the best painting in the whole world. Anyway, so this lady showed me this painting, and then she continues to talk to me, and I don't remember how the rest of the conversation went because I was focusing on this weird painting. And then we landed, and she, because she was in the middle seat and I was in the window, so I couldn't leave till she left, and she would just sat there talking to me as other people were getting up and like leaving the plane. But then luckily she finally was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go, bye, and she got up and she left, and then I got up and I skedaddled. I got right out of there. I had some friends picking me up at the airport, and I found them as fast as I could, and then I immediately told them about Jesus and the Angry Babies, and I looked it up on my phone, and it's not hard to find. It is very easy. Just Google Jesus and the Angry Babies and it will be there. Anyway, and that's the story of Jesus and the Angry Babies that I've been trying to tell my friend for like a week, and we just keep not telling it, so which is unfortunate. Anyway, yep, there's another episode of podcast. This one's kind of short, but that's okay. Anyway, bye.